ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Sweetwater City Commission for July 11th. I'm going to ask Ryan Straybeck if he will do the invocation, and Commissioner Lee will lead us in the pledge.
God of Jacob and Isaac, David, we thank you for your wisdom. We thank you for the wisdom of government, the opportunity to lead, wisdom and strength and courage, fortitude. We honor you today with those things, with the wisdom, and we ask that you would give strength and wisdom to these folks who are making decisions today on behalf of our city, our community. And we thank you for the work that we can do, and honor you in this way. So we ask you to bless this time in the name of Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, moving on to item 4 on the agenda, consider approval of the minutes for the meeting held on January 13th. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Moving on to our action items. On A, City Commission to consider bid award for the Texas Water Development Board water line replacement project that will replace a 10-inch water line in the vicinity of the newly elevated storage tank located on West Alabama. John, would you, Arizona, thank you. Too late to move it now.
Always changing the project.
Yeah. Won't affect the price.
Probably not. If you recall at the last meeting, we had the bid opening for this water line project. I checked the math of the low bidder. Everything looked good. What I failed to do is check the the math of the second bidder, who made a big mistake that made him the low bidder. So we are coming back before the commission to rescind the award that we had to Morton Irrigation at the last meeting and instead award it to Roberts Construction for an amount of $162,500, which was the low bid. And we have worked with Roberts. They've done several projects here in town. They did the utility relocation on the Highway 70 Lamar Street reconstruction, so they're very familiar with working here in Sweetwater. And so we recommend that we award this bid to Roberts Construction.
What kind of math error do they make, and how does a professional company like that make that kind of an error?
What they did was it was on the PRVs, and we had 2 of one size and 3 of another, and on the one that they had the 3 of, they took it times 5 instead of 3, and they were about $15,000 a piece, and it was just simple math there. I mean, they had the right amount in the item, which is what we have to go by. Just when they multiplied it out, they punched the wrong number.
You mean they're human?
Yeah.
And math is hard.
Yeah.
Do we trust somebody that can't do math?
Hey, all we were going to do is lay a water line.
Any further questions for John?
I move we approve the bid.
Have a motion. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving this bid, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and the bid is awarded.
I think Becky has the notice of award that you can sign at the end of the meeting.
Okay. And we will let you stay there. And moving on to item B, tell us about our tank.
Well, if you've been by the tank lately, you'll notice that it is now finished white. The picture you're seeing there is after it was blasted, before they started putting on the actual coatings. Go to the next one. This is what it looks like now. I think these were taken within the last few days. He actually put the last, or He was a little shy on Mills when I came and did an inspection Saturday. He had to put another coat of paint on it, so he finished that yesterday. I should be coming back this afternoon to do a final on it. The logo painter, which is a sign company out of Louisiana, is on the road today, should show up tomorrow to start laying out the 4 logos on the tank. I'm guessing they move fairly quickly, but I'm thinking by the end of next week, they will probably be done with all the logos. The last update that I've got from Landmark is that the crew that will come and actually raise the tank is due sometime toward the middle to latter part of August. And that's just because their crews are, we're that far ahead on this tank and they're on schedule on other tanks. So that's why there's going to be about a 2 or 3 or 4 week delay before we see anybody back out here to raise it up. Once that happens, they will, if you've been out there and seen the other pieces that are up against the fence, they'll put the roof on it, the interior riser pipe and appurtenances. And we're still on schedule to have this tank ready to be online by the end of October.
John, just curious, how do they put the logo on there? They have a giant stencil or laser guided? Or how does that work?
Most of them anymore, it's what they call a pounce pattern. Now, there are a few that still freehand them, but most of them use what's called a pounce pattern, and it's basically just a kind of think of it as a sticky note, except it's got the adhesive on one side and the pattern's on the other, and it's just kind of a dot to dot that's whatever your logo is cut out. And they'll just take a spray paint can and they spray over that sticky paper, the pounce pattern as it's called, and then they peel it off and then they connect the dots. And they've got a little sheet while they're up there in the air painting on it that they just look and say, okay, these dots go here. Like I said, I haven't worked with this particular sign painter before, but most of them anymore, that's the way they do it.
Any further questions? John, thank you, sir.
All right, I've got to bug out, so I'll see y'all later.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Okay, moving on to item C, City Commission to consider and approve an ordinance delaying the proposed change in rates in Encore Electric Delivery Service, finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public is required by law. This is second and final reading. Christie's here from Encore. Do we have any questions of Christie?
Yeah, just curious, Christie, the upcoming or proposed acquisition of Encore by Berkshire Hathaway, how's that going to affect Encore, if any?
We don't feel like it will affect us, other than we'll have a new owner, but they expect to continue doing business as usual. We'll focus on the same reliability and safety standards. They'll keep the same employees in place. They've agreed to do that for 2 years. So we actually think it'll be a good deal for Encore. You know, we've been in for the last 3 years. Our major investor's been in bankruptcy, so that's kind of had us in a we have to do a lot of things when we file change of ownerships. This is the 3rd time someone's made a proposal to purchase us, so that takes some work and some time to do that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be a good deal for Encore. I think it'll be a stabilizing force. So I think it will be good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great.
I move we approve the ordinance denying the proposed rate changes to Encore.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner May and a second by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, and I'll now read the ordinance into the record. An ordinance denying the proposed change in rates of Encore Electric Delivery Company, LLC, finding and determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public is required by law. Okay, now moving on to item D, City Commission to consider approval of the quarterly investment report for the quarter ended June 30th. Now, there is a copy of the report in your packet. Are there any questions for Patty?
I move we approve the investment report.
Second. Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner May and a second by Commissioner Castro. No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries and the investment report is approved. Going on to 5E, City Commission to consider entering into an agreement with Tommy Morris Agency to represent the city as broker of record and to evaluate competitive seal proposals. This is for our health insurance. Nancy Johnson is here today. Nancy, do you have any comments for us?
No, we've already been contacted by 2 carriers though who are interested in bidding this year, and that's Texas Municipal League and First Care. So we know we're going to get some competitive bids on your health insurance. Typically, what we'll do is we'll put a notice in the paper, and the legal notices for the next 2 Sundays, soliciting other bids, and then set a date for the meeting in August for the seal proposals to be submitted. So.
Okay. A motion from the commission.
I move that we allow them to be our broker of record for insurance purposes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lee and a second by Commissioner Castro. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. It is approved.
Thank you. We appreciate your trust in us and your business, and so we'll plan on being here this time next month with the sealed bids.
We will see you then. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Item F, City Commission to consider authorizing staff to receive competitive seal proposals on self-insured group health, dental, life insurance benefit to be considered at the August 8th, 2017 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner May and a second by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Then I'll read the, well, let me see if I may have gotten ahead of myself. Okay. Okay. Going on to item G, City Commission to consider adoption of a resolution requesting financial assistance from the Texas Department of Transportation for design and construction for pavement rehabilitation at Avenger Field Airport, naming TxDOT as the city's agent and directing the city manager to execute all contracts and agreements on behalf of the city for such improvements. Do you have any questions for Kirk?
Yeah, Kirk, I say part of this is for a game fence. Is there not a game fence or around the airport as it right now, or is this to replace?
There is no game fence. It's just standard fencing, except for back in 2002, we installed some security fencing along the west side. But other than that, it's just a barbed wire fence. And TxDOT, because we had an increase over the last 10 years or so on wildlife getting onto the airport, mainly deer and hogs, that they're wanting us to do a game fence. So they pretty well said, you'll do this before you do anything else. And what we're asking for here is we had broke, as you saw in my memorandum, is we had asked to break this big project down over 4 years, but now they're wanting just combine the design with the game fence and the pavement all into one. They have small savings, but they'll get that out of the way. And then the actual pavement construction is still scheduled for 2020, and it could be delayed at least 1 year if necessary.
Will the fence completely encircle the runways?
They have not gave us a design yet, but I would it should go along the property lines. Is what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
So we should have a design before the end of September? Because it's
I'm surprised that they've waited so long on getting this started. they may push this into their next fiscal. Of course, we can always, if they haven't asked for our portion at that time, then we can always encumber that amount into the next fiscal.
And how long will it take to do the fence? Do we have any idea? We won't know until the design probably.
I have no idea. I wouldn't think that it'd take that long. I'd say just a few months is all that would take.
Any further questions?
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I move we consider requesting financial assistance from the Texas Department of Transportation for design and construction of rehab at Avenger Field.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lee and a second by Commissioner Castro. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries, and I'll read it into the record. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Sweetwater hereby directs David A. Vela, city manager, to execute on behalf of the city of Sweetwater at the appropriate time and with the appropriate authorizations of this governing body, all contracts and agreements with the state of Texas represented by the Texas Department of Transportation and such other parties as shall be necessary for appropriate for the implementation of the improvements to Avenger Field Airport. Item H, going to consider and approve the closing of the platted and undeveloped alleys in blocks 1 and 2, Southside Edition, extending from West Arizona Avenue to Northwest Georgia between Lanham Street and Robert E. Lee Street. This item requires a public hearing. Do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Lee. Commissioner May seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're now in public hearing. Does anybody from the public like to speak on this matter? Okay.
Commissioner pleases, my intentions are to fence the entire area from Georgia to Arizona and to include English gates for Encore. Oh, I get to preach?
I'm gonna be here all day now.
Settle back. Including egress activity for Encore, and there will be other gates available. Our intentions are not to park trailers under the existing power lines, but to have fence and gates in that position. Other than that, it's normal fencing operation.
Thank you.
Questions?
This is just vacant land right now.
Yes, sir. We own both sides of that alley all the way. And we got Mississippi Street closed at the last meeting. We just inadvertently left the alleys out. It was a way for Pete to make a living.
Encore's okay with it as long as we have access to the lines.
No other questions? Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Commissioner May, made the motion. Commissioner Lee seconds. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing is closed. We're now in regular session. And do I hear a motion from the commission to close this alley?
I move we close the alley in blocks 1 and 2, the Southside Edition.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner May and a second by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? All those in favor of closing these alleys, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is approved. Okay, we'll move from our action items to city manager's report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Just a few items to discuss this morning and give updates on. The budget update, we will have a draft budget submitted to this body on our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is the morning of Tuesday, August 8th. So we have a little bit of time to make the changes and the edits that we need to present a responsible and balanced budget to y'all for your consideration. We'll also begin to have our additional meetings on the tax rate and those associated public hearings during the months of August and September as well. Moving on to the municipal development district item, I know there's been a lot of discussion in the community about some potentials for changes to our current 4A economic development structure. We had a good discussion yesterday at our seed board meeting. Just to kind of go over a little bit what we discussed yesterday, the bottom line, there was a motion made, and I'll read that motion here for everybody's benefit, that we, the seed board, recommends to the city commission that they evaluate a change from a type A economic development corporation to a municipal development district to include the calling of an election on the matter. That was the motion that was made and seconded. There was a 4-0 vote based on that motion yesterday. Mr. Billy Wiesenhunt, the chair of the seed board of directors, wasn't able to make that meeting, so he wasn't there to opine on that. But of the remaining 4 members, it was a 4-0 vote on that motion. Another couple of items related to the MDD. The seed and the city commission will hold a joint workshop meeting on the morning of Monday, July 31st. The site is to be determined. Ken and I are working on that. We have a little bit longer to land somewhere, and we will, and then we'll start getting that word out to the community. It's probably either going to be at the police station or at TSTC, like we had our first joint meeting. I think there's a lot of interest in this item among the community, and we may have a very large turnout, so we'll have to take that into consideration as far as the venue goes. But we'll get word out on that once that is nailed down. But that's going to be the date, Monday, July 31st, site to be determined, and we'll let the community know once we land on something on that. Just the third item, Ken, and if I miss something here, please feel free to interject. But on the appointments and reappointments of seed board commissioners, that was discussed yesterday. There are 2 members whose terms are coming up at the end of, is it September? It's at the end of this September of 2017. Mr. Kirby Andrews, who's asked to be reappointed for an additional 3-year term, and Mr. David Welch, who is unfortunately has decided to step away from the seed board and is asked to not be reappointed. So that will give the commissioners an opportunity to choose someone else from the community to appoint to fill Mr. Welch's spot, and we'll be bringing that item, we're thinking, to the next city commission meeting in August. If we need additional time, if you all need additional time to vet your picks, then we can push that back to the meeting in September, because I believe that that appointment will become effective, I guess, October 1st. Okay, very good. And moving along to the parks planning update, got some good news on that. Thursday, July 27th will be a community open house to discuss matters related to the parks plan and the trail plan that's being proposed for the city of Sweetwater. That meeting will kick off here in this room at 4:30 p.m. and will conclude at 7 p.m. that evening. It's a come and go event. There is no formal presentation to be given by the consultants on that. It's more of a come and go event. So we'll begin to get word out to the community, and Joe, if you can help us with that, I'll send some information to you later today. We appreciate that. We'll start to get word out to the community via email and social media and our great newspaper here in town as well. But again, that's going to be held the evening of Thursday, July 27th, beginning at 4:30 p.m., concluding by 7 p.m. It's a come and go event. We hope to bring a final draft of the parks plan to this body for your approval, either during the August or the September meeting, your regular meetings. So we've got a very busy couple of months with the budget, with putting the finishing touches on the parks plan and having those joint meetings with seed, and then the open house with on the parks planning issues and the trail issues. I think it's just a sign of the progress that we're making here in Sweetwater, and I'm very pleased about that. A lot of hard work's been undertaken by our city staff, and the commissioners have been very supportive of the efforts that we've been trying to make. So I just want to publicly thank those in the community members for their support of what we're trying to do here. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Tim, did you have any additional comments regarding the seed meeting yesterday that you wanted to share?
I just thought it went very well. We had people from both sides of the table that were able to kind of talk about their thoughts. And I think some compromise discussions were talked about during that I think both sides felt better with. I think time will tell, but I thought it was a very informational meeting.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now I'll go to the public comments section of our agenda. Anybody here from the public that would like to address the commission? Okay, my favorite item, number 8. I hear a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Okay, we are in adjournment.
Well,